in, come on in. It's great to see you. Listen, if you're just tuning in, this is going to be good. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. And I'm just going to talk it. Right now, a lot of us are going through, and my thing is this: could layoffs be the answer to burnout? So I'm a nurse. I'll talk about nurse burnout, but I'm talking about it for all of us, whether you're working, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have your business, whatever it is. Could this be somehow almost like a accident? We bumped into this, meaning that burnout may be, a layoff may just be answer to the burnout. And you'll say, well, Sharon, what do you mean by that? Just think of it. Just think of it. That there are people out there who are day in, day out, they're feeling the stress from the job. They're feeling the stress from the news media. They're feeling the stress, whether it's to commute to work and or just trying to make a living, to put food on the table and to keep a roof over their heads. People, you can burn out easily from that. And many of my colleagues, nurses who, whether they're working in the hospital or the clinic or outpatient or home care, whichever way you get it, OR, let me not start the emergency room, critical care. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on. But that happens because sometimes when you're being stretched too thin, and that's the question I'm asking you. Have you stopped to check and see, are you stretched too thin, right? Because even where you work, you may find that there's not enough staff to do the work. Or because AI, there we go again, AI, it's doing the work. It's the one that's helping with the charting, helping with documentation, all of those things. But burnout is so real. Burnout too can happen from just trying to figure out everyday situation, what's happening in our lives. And I think I have some stats, and there's a reason why I wanted to do that, because my channel, it talks about the motivation, inspiration for my entrepreneurial force. But I also wanted to, for my nurses who bump into us and find us, Chi, okay, all right, now what are we talking about? Holla. Zeta 1. All right, so we're talking about burnout, and could layoffs be the answer to it in a way that, ¿cómo estás, Noche? How am I doing tonight? Bien, bien. So nurses are experiencing burnout in record numbers, they're saying. And before the pandemic and post-pandemic is still happening. And now they're saying about during that time, 138,000 nurses. Now, why is this going to be important? For you, the listener, for you, someone who's not in healthcare, seeing how it's affecting us, because I said I was going to talk more about it. And so we're talking about here in the US of A. So 138,000 nurses left the profession since I think about 2022. And this recording is 2025. OMG. And they're saying 40% of them are saying they intend to leave in the next 5 years. And since COVID, 100,000 nurses, either they've quit, oh my God, during the pandemic, due to stress, burnout, and or retirement. So it's a combination of things. And once again, when they poll the nurses, they're saying 83% of them feel that they're burning out it's almost like every month, every week, somebody wants to quit. And I got most of that from the NCSBN. It's the National Council for the State Board of Nursing and so forth. So they do a lot of things with that. So that's where I got those stats. So in other words, I'm just showing how it's affecting us, and when burnout is really real in our lives, it's going to require okay, but I understand the discomfort towards the machine of AI has to call that word faster. Yes, AI is doing the work. I remember years ago working in a hospital, and they had a little robot thing that the medications. They would put the medications on, put it on the elevator so it could go up to whichever floor. And then supposedly this thing is supposed to go around. I think I might have seen it once because I had a contract there, and they're saying, oh, the thing would bump into stuff, and some of the nurses were like, well, we don't want this thing to come and take our jobs. And so that was back in the, oh my gosh, possibly 2006, around that time. Right? So we're seeing where AI, it's been around for a minute. It's been around, and each time you would see, well, how much less, they don't need as many people. So what starts to happen when you don't need, as we call it, able bodies, when you don't need that, you're going to start to see, well, oh, if you can't do it, AI can do it. And then now when you're overwhelmed, especially those who are in the training system, you're overwhelmed. Now AI could supposedly write things for you. And so I'm sure it's being programmed in a way that you don't have to do a lot of paperwork, because now they're saying, oh, since you're burnout, let's see if we can lower it, give you more patience, but work it out so you don't have to charge as much. I don't know if that's going to work, but you're still human. That's the thing. And when we're replacing everything and burnout kicks in, you got to remember that we are humans, that we are people, okay? That we are human beings. And so we are going to have these experiences. Now, the thing with the machines and the AI, they can go on 24/7, baby, 24/7. They don't have to sleep. They don't have to eat. They don't have to do any of those things. They don't have to do any of that, all because they are a machine, but we are not machines. And so that's what I want to talk about when it comes to burnout. Thank you for coming in. If you've gotten thus far, you can give a thumbs up. For those of you on the live, you can double tap the screen, and just know that you may be that person, or you may have a loved one. You may have a loved one who may need to pull back a little bit. And so maybe the layoff, it could be a blessing in disguise. That's what I want to say. It could be a blessing in disguise. But for some folks will say, I can't afford it. I still need that money to come in. I still have things that I have to take care of. Ashley, hi, how are you? I still have things I have to take care of. So I'm not one of those people who are going to be able to pull back and say, hey, I won't be able to, I'd be able to take time off and I don't need to go back to work. So burnout will affect some people. The layoffs, some people may say, I can take a breather, maybe for a couple of days. Maybe they can take a breather for maybe a week or two. For some folks, they'd have to get back to it because, of their vacations. Once again, they may need health care. Certain things may need to be taken care of. And so this, I really want to talk about it because it has a lot to do with self-care and how we take care of ourselves. Listen, I'm going to say this. We are in places and spaces, and many people have experienced that. Andrea, thank you for being here. Ashley, thank you so much. We've been in places and spaces where you're working, but listen, they can replace you like this. They can replace you tomorrow. They can replace you a couple of days. They can possibly replace you within a couple of hours by posting your job. And there are people who have seen. So if you're constantly going, and you're not taking care of yourself, burnout is going to kick in. And now I've had people who've said, well, what's the alternative? What's the alternative if I am going to if I have to work, right? If I have to work, I need to take care of things, and still there's no one to give me a break. That's a big deal. That's something to really take into consideration, because many times when we look at it, we're not getting enough sleep because burnout is so real. It is so real. And when you are stressed about something, we've spoken about it before, we release cortisol because that's the stress in our bodies from not being able to sleep. You're constantly worrying about how am I going to pay that bill? How am I going to take care of that thing? And we've all been through it, right? We've all been there some way, shape, or form where we had to try to figure things out. Anthony, thank you. So if you are in this space and you know what this is what we're talking about, Anthony, so I don't know what you're talking about here, so we don't do any of that stuff. So dude, I may have to have you sit back for a little bit and just for a moment. We're not even going to play that for a moment. All right, so that's what I'm saying. We want to be mindful of how we are just on the go constantly. If you're I know, right? If you're constantly on the go, your body sooner or later is going to tell you to stop, right? And so whether it's going to be a layoff, whether it's you run your body into the ground, whether it's you've just done back-to-back shifts, the burnout is going to kick in. And while we're doing that, while we're talking about this, we can also talk about many of our nurses who are, they're at the place and the space where they're saying, right, you know what, I made a lot of money. I don't know where it is. Either I'm broke, either I've spent I've gone on to too many trips or things like that. And then you come back, right? You come back and you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to make it because you've just done just way too much. And I just truly believe, I really, really and truly believe that there comes a point when enough is enough and your body has had enough, and also your mind, you're just thinking you've ran yourself into the ground. It is possible that you could have ran yourself into the ground from just trying to make those coins, as we say. People are like, girl, I'm trying to make the bag. I'm trying to make that money. But there comes a point. But also, it's so difficult. When we talk about burnout and when we talk about responsibilities on the job, it is so difficult just to take sides because you're trying to understand other people, what they're going through and their responsibilities. And I don't want to sound, as if I don't care or if I have all the answers. I don't, I don't have all the answers. And so that's part of it that I'm trying to be considerate of people who have lives to live and things that they need to take care of, for themselves and their families. And even many of you here on YouTube, I experienced that there sometimes you're going to have to pull back because burnout is real. Burnout is real in every which way. We have people who are doing their vlogs, we have nurse channels, we have different niches, people who are teaching, people who are inspirational, people who are entertainment, educational. And sometimes people are just always trying to think of, okay, what's next? What am I going to do next? What am I going to talk about next? But then it is going to, it can and it will affect you. It will bounce back. It will just take its toll. Hey, Lashana, thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm just doing my recording for this, talk about burnout and how it really affects us by folks just trying to do too much. Folks are trying to do too much in the amount of time that we have. And we all have those 24 hours. But there are times that, we have to make a living. And there are people who need to work, who need to take care of their family members. And especially if you're working in a place, in a space where you don't have enough staff in, it is going to affect you. And and the question too is, how can someone give good care or pay attention to what it is that they're doing if they do not, they're not up to par? That's always my thought. Like, I know when I used to work 12-hour shifts, and the first day you feel great. Oh, you pack your bag, your lunch, your scrubs, you're looking good, you're smelling good. And it's great for those 12 hours. Then by the second day, sometimes if you have consecutive 12-hour shifts, you are tired because you're really like, how much sleep can you get? And after that second day, oh my goodness, forget about it. You're going to feel drained. You're going to feel tired. And by day number 3, you're just dragging. And so sometimes you try to pace it out, or to, yeah, pace it, or place, put some time in between it. But your mind, the question was, it's always this, it's your mind as fast. Are you able to think as fast? Are you able to react as fast? And even for truck drivers, right? Yes, LaShawn, everybody experienced it. Absolutely. Everybody experienced it. And those 12-hour shifts, they take a toll. I remember once working with a young lady, and she was trying to do 12-hour shifts. And why they allowed her to do it, I don't know. I remember she was cranky, just nasty. Uh, I don't know, because there's a lack of sleep, even though at the time, and this is many years ago, there was a time that many of the hospitals would nurses come in, and the hospitals would have the apartments there, so they live, just all they have to do is cross the street and come over. And so she had one of those. Still, it was just so much. And I remember having a little thing with her, and she was just like, oh, da, 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 da. And I'm like, what is going on? And there was concern. She was doing 11, 12-hour day shifts. And I don't care how much of a superstar or rock star you think you are when it comes to that. Your mind isn't as fast. And then you start to take it out on people. And you're absolutely right. Yes, because your body, you're breaking down your immune system. So guys, when we talk about burnout, it is so real. It's really important, because when you're doing those things and you're not sleeping, you're breaking down your immune system. And I'm not over here giving medical advice. I'm just saying it is. You're not sleeping. And again, the cortisol comes in. And so then you're opening up yourselves for infection and all different types of things. And so even when I talk about the truck drivers too, they need to stay alert. Well, come on in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hey, thank you. And this is what I'm saying. They too need to be alert, because guess what? They're driving. It's not just about what they're carrying. They're also on the highways, and people are driving, and people's lives are at stake. So this burnout is real, and we're going to allow ourselves to burn out because of the almighty dollar, right? Or because they don't have the staffing to do it. And I remember as a brand new nurse, when they would call me to work, just go to work. And I remember somebody said, a senior nurse said to me, she said, she said, you didn't have to come. I said, I didn't know I could say no. So sometimes too, you're going to have to know that it's okay to say no. Yes, Lashana's success system. She said the immune system is low and they're not giving their best either. Yeah, true. Because absolutely. So your immune system is low. You're dragging. Next thing, you're sick. Then you go to work and you're making everybody else sick. So burnout has a domino effect. You want to be mentally, on point. But how can you be when you're just exhausted? And I've been like, I'm not perfect, but you're driving home, especially if you work the night shift, you have to open up the windows. And if that's happening, if you have to pull over, some people are saying it's not even safe to sleep anywhere. So then you may have to stay at work and take a nap, do what you need to do, and then go on your merry way. But once again, I'm saying that the burnout has its effect. Now, can you manage it? I would say that people will have to make a decision. They will have to make a decision on their own, that if they're going to continue this, and do they need to? One of the things I could suggest, and I remember, just having my regular 12-hour shift. That's where I work. That's it. And then I had a per diem job, which was like every other week Or if I want to, so I'd work 3 12 hours, and I would, you know, put them out space, and then I could go pick up an 8 hour shift somewhere else. And if I need to pick up an extra one, I could do that, right? So, too, I think people may have to find ways on how they can combat this out. Now, the great thing about it, some folks can do remote work. And remote work too. I had a client, she had a remote work, and every time she said she had to be on the phone because they would clock her and everything else. So different jobs will carry different effects. But like I said, it's not just nurses, it's so people that this is it's going to it's affecting them, and we can see it. And now with the layoffs, I'm like, is this a blessing in disguise? Is the layoff a blessing in disguise? Because guess what? Hey, you get a couple days off. The only problem with that now, if you're furloughed in places where you're not getting paid, but they're telling you to go home, that too in itself, oh my gosh, is a cause for concern. So obviously, there are no perfect answers. But what I was saying with this, could the layoff be, the fix? But that's only a temporary fix for the burnout that so many people are experiencing. And if anything that I can say, I would say just take out, I think just many families will have to have conversations about what they're doing. Some people are saying, well, because of that, what's happening right now, they're going to have to think about the finances and how they're going to handle it. So conversations will need to be had. I spoke about before about getting rid of some of those apps, some of those things that I'm using, and I think I have a few more to go to cancel them out because I'm not using them. We talk about AI, but there are some things that AI can do, especially for some entrepreneurs, that can make your business run a little bit easier. So AI can truly help you somewhat. You don't have to always say it's a bad thing. Yes, it's going to replace a lot of people. AI is going to replace a lot of people. We're seeing that. Even in medicine and in surgery, they have robotics, and that's been out for a while. And it just blows my mind that a surgeon could be sitting in a corner, looking through this thing and doing the surgery over there. I'm like, what? I don't work OR. I remember doing oh my goodness, it's many, many moons ago, my rotation in OR, and I was like, I could not do this. I couldn't be in one space for long. And whatever they were talking about, they know they're so good at what they're doing. It's only if they need to really talk about the surgery, because they're talking about everything else. They play music, all sorts of things is happening. And that was my experience, maybe different. It's my experience. But people will tell you, OR, they're doing their thing in there. But it wasn't for me at the time. But yeah, so robotics has been around for a long time, laparoscopy and different things like that. So we see in medicine where it works. When people think that AI doesn't really affect them, absolutely. When you go to the emergency room or the urgent center, when they give you that printout, your discharge paperwork, and you look at it, that's all. They just put in what was going on or the diagnosis, and it just spits out everything else. So it'll spit out, what you're supposed to do. If there are medications you need to take, it will have that information, or how you need to take care of yourself, how many days you need to follow up. I'm telling you, AI is everywhere. Lucy, what's up? Lucy, it's been a minute. Hey, Lucy. So yeah, so I'm telling you, it's so nice to see you guys. Thank you all for stopping in. But this burnout stuff is real. And like I said, Lucy, I'm talking about maybe this burnout is a blessing in disguise for people to get a break, but not everybody can do it because people are driving longer distances. They're doing more work. They're picking up. what they used to do when you had three people doing it, now you have only one, and that one person is doing so much work that they're not getting the sleep they should, they're not taking care of themselves, their body is breaking down, and all sorts of stuff is happening. And maybe you're not able to, if for those in the healthcare give the care that they'd love to do, that they can't do that because they're trying to do the work of so many other people. And also when people are driving and they're out there, I'm saying, man, they really need to keep an eye on the road with what's happening. Yeah, so glad to see you. Yes, I've been doing pop-ups. Oh, Brownout is real. I work so hard out here. Yes, yes, it is so real. I've been there many times. Yeah. And for me, was one person who said some people will tell they almost have like breakdown. I've seen people come to the ER who just like, that's it. It's like they've had it, and it leads to mental health issues too. So people have to know, and they need to be aware of that it can lead. I have a few minutes left, just try to keep these 30 minutes, but it can lead to mental health issues because once again, especially when you feel overwhelmed, it can happen from home. There's some moms, they have them kids to take care of, that can be. And yeah, and that can happen. Sometimes too, from just trying to deal with family situation, like you just have enough. I think we're all experiencing something. We're seeing so much stuff that's going on in the world. And sometimes you wonder why people are mad. I'm looking at it now, like, why are they so mad? Where are people being mad and mean? And I'm just exhausted from it. So some of the things on social media, I just stay away from it and I don't have an opinion to go post on Facebook or anything over there arguing. It's so much stress to handle. We need to have breaks. Absolutely. We're talking about, what was it? The rapture. Where was I? I was in Japan. So when I came back, I was too exhausted to know the rapture was happening on. Need to live within their means, have careers they like, and keep God first. Yes, listen, Shauna. Absolutely. They need to. And I know Lashana is a minimalist, right? And she talks about it all the time. You don't need all of that stuff. I'm looking around here with some of the stuff. I do not need it. I shoes that I can't wear because my feet, some of them are new because somebody keep buying me them things. And after 20 something years on nursing floor, I cannot, I can't handle any of those stuff. And I wasn't a big shoe fanatic anyway, right? So I used to wear scrubs all the time. So I like being comfortable. When I travel, I love being comfortable. And so that's how I am. I'm not into all the fancy schmancy stuff. I'm not into that. I'm just like, yeah, I need to get on eBay to sell some of these suckers because yeah, it's nice, but I don't. Yeah, so live within your means or below that a little bit, and it doesn't mean that you have to starve yourself of anything, but you're just looking at it. Do I really need all of that stuff? And just to be smart and savvy with our money and different things that we're doing, you can still invest in yourself because I believe that people can invest in themselves and get that return, the return investment. I'm not saying people not to invest because there's so many of us out here and that we could coach people and tell them how to turn a dollar into 50 is what we would say, right? Take 50 cents, turn it into a dollar. Some people say, well, I can only do it the opposite way. But yeah, you can take what you have, right? Take that 50 cents, turn it into a dollar because they go the opposite way. But you can take what you have. There are skills. There are people out here. They're doing their ebooks. They're doing consulting. They're doing different things that you can make money. Some people have their stores. So I'm just saying there's so many different ways that people have to start to about how to get savvy with their finances. Yeah, how to get savvy with finances, how to take care of themselves, to preserve their wellness, preserve their mental wellness, preserve your physical wellness. And sometimes too, if it's a job, I know they're hard to get or difficult, but right now you may have to start to make some decisions. You only have one you. You get one you, and after that, whatever it comes what may. So that's what I wanted to share. Yes, burnout is very real, and we all need to make decisions to take care of ourselves, business wise, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. We really absolutely need to do that. Guys, I'm going to shut it down, but I really appreciate you. You can always come back to the replay. Drop me a orange heart. Somebody say, I can't find the orange. Well, I take a red one. But definitely you can come back to the replay. Let me know your thoughts. If you've been close to burnout, what did you do to make sure you're able to take care of yourself? Sometimes you may just need to take a break. And we spoke about the power of the pause, that it is powerful. And sometimes you may have to do that. So not just only nurses for burnout. It happens to so many of us. And I really, truly appreciate you for watching. And let me know your thoughts. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Take care until next time. Bye.